Hello there.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. How was your walk?
It was really nice, thank you. I'm
What
just
was amazing to go to the beach?
right. It's lovely. That's the good, wonderful thing about living on this island is that um, there's a little bit of everything and it's not too far away. So yeah, it's a really nice, not a lovely location actually. So definitely
Oh, that is so wonderful. On our new moon day and Earth Day yesterday, all the
yeah,
energies of the water, the sky, the land, everything. Oh,
yeah.
so
I was definitely getting it was a sense of I know what was it you because we were having a little chat the other day, weren't we? And I
yeah,
we had a little introduction, and it was something to do with the new moon, a new way of seeing things, right? So, and then
right.
and we're going into Taurus soon, and this is a new moon in Taurus, so it's kind of like the transition between fire and earth, and it's like new vision with a new thing, and so it's like a new moon, new eyes on, and the theme was the earth. So it's almost like I was also getting like the great unveiling is another thing that they like to say to me sometimes. So yeah, something like that. It's because it's a gradual over time. It's not something that's just happening like that. It's almost
Yeah,
it's moving kind of like on an evolutionary kind of time scale, but it's quicker than you'd expect, but it's still going to take time. So um, yeah,
that's the truth of it. And it's so magical when you look at, the way things are divinely arranged, how you have Earth Day and new moon at the same time.
yeah,
And so, just like you said, the new beginning for the earth, when everyone's in shutdown right now, the earth is healing in so many different ways. Um, and yet, we're also looking at, how we are one with the earth. We connect through um, literally having our own personal gnome, an earth fae that works with us. And so they watch after our bodies like it's a landscape, and of course that connects back into the landscape of the earth. So it's all divinely connected, and it's really highlighted at the new moon right now.
yeah. Because it's
Just
the
like,
end of one cycle into the beginning of another one. Yeah,
yes,
right.
except even more so because it's a super, super augmented, highlighted new moon. So it really is shining the light uh, to this new way of thinking. And it's also highlighting everything from our deepest fears, which are
Yep.
really pronounced right now for almost everyone, to shining a light on what have you always wanted to create in this world? What were you here to do?
Right.
And this is the time to, just sit out there and do it. Manifest, manifest,
Yeah.
manifest.
Yeah. That's the thing is that I'm finding with that process it's like a kind of the sift. You have to sift what it is you do want and what you don't want, and you find that there's this entanglement between these different things, and you feel you're kind of having to pull apart these things because you might like something because of one thing, but then you realize, oh, but it's entangled with that, and that, and those things aren't so good for me. So it's a really big evaluation period as well. I mean, for me, it started at the beginning of the year with the Pluto Saturn conjunction, and I feel like I've been gradually dissolving and rearranging in lots of different ways ever since, and so many things
I
have been
have to
testing me.
share with you, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's so true. When you say that, you are morphing in and out of your background.
Yeah,
As you were
I'm trying
saying
a different
that,
thing on
the
on
shoulder
this.
was going in
Yeah, I've got.
into
I've,
more space with your background. I was saying, is your energy that high that
I
you
wish.
disappear
No,
before our
I'm trying
eyes?
something different on Skype because on Skype you can put a background, but I still haven't worked out how to
Can you?
put my image on bigger. So I've also got a bigger version of myself down in the screen anyway. So it's yeah, just in case. And yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
It is. It's fabulous. Great background.
Yeah,
And like I said, you
it's
were
a piece of
morphing into
artwork.
it.
It's one of my pieces of
What's
artwork.
that?
It's a piece of artwork I did. So it's there we go. It's
I
right
love
there.
it.
Yeah. So that's one of
Oh,
the that's
beautiful.
yeah, with the symmetry and everything. So I usually do photography. So it's like the idea is that I'm capturing a moment in time, and we got even if you can't see something there, that the energy of whatever's that there is still being captured in the image one way or another. You just have to tweak it right to kind of get different highlights. And then when you put it together in the symmetry, it really brings out the different faces, the energies, the beings that can be found within, and it is all about geometry and symmetry, and the
Yes.
dimensions are just at a different angle to ours, and we're just not used to seeing things in a certain way. And actually, when we begin to expand that perspective and look at the earth in a new way, when we realize that everything that exists here is a solid three dimensional manifestation of something that we cannot see. There are things that it's like an iceberg type of thing. That we only see a glimpse. A tree is only a small representation of the consciousness and the beings and the energy associated with it, and likewise with everything else. And that's one of the things I've been kind of learning, is realizing how innate this energy is, and it will show through on my artwork quite regularly. And it also did the same with the sky and the clouds as well. So I'm kind of it's been a really amazing journey, and it's brought me in towards the fairy realm, the nature spirits, and the realm of the unseen. And it definitely has felt a great calling in recent months, and I'm really glad to have had the opportunity to be chatting to you today anyway, so thank you.
Oh, me too. Like I said the other day, I just feel like you're a true kindred spirit. And to watch you there with your artwork, this is so magical because you literally are melding into it. It's like you are and the artwork are one and the same. And this is so precise for what's going on with the new moon.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're being asked to look at that aspect of ourself. What is that innate creativity you are to bring forth? You are showing us what you've brought forth. It is a connection to all that is unseen in this world. And as you said, the mirror images
Yeah.
breaking out. And I think it's just perfect. It's really kind of leading all of us into what are we to be creating right now, bringing forth? How are we to show
Right.
what we are here to teach in this world? Because we're all divine teachers and we're all finding our own ways, to do that. And you're doing it brilliantly.
Yeah. Well, I think
It's
part
just
of the
magic.
right. I feel that part of the process. That's one of the things about making a reality, is what I was. One of the things I've been led to is this idea that um, our reality consists only of, we've allowed far too much the external world around us to dictate to us and over influence us into creating a reality which actually isn't that great for us in the long run. And so I've kind of got to that point where I felt like the only way around it was literally to. Um, oh, you've put me on hold. I thought the only way.
Somebody tried to break through on a phone line, and I'm like, no, sorry about that.
Yeah, the only what was it? Yeah, we have to. It's like creativity. It's so important. It's part of that thing, and we've been spending so much time paying attention to what other people want. Not what we want, not what we truly, when we're in true alignment with ourselves, the world that would be great for us, ourselves, and everybody else around us. Um, it's been much more focused on influencing us to create a reality where it's just mainly suffering. So how do we kind of get out of that? And we've kind of got this to get to this point where we realize we've got a choice, and we can actually create things by actually going out and interacting with what we perceive to be the world around us on our own terms,
Yes.
and not by the terminologies, the ways, the definitions, and that of the external world around us, the things that they're trying to impose and define upon everything. I don't need any of that. I can just go out there,
No.
interact with a tree or anything or whatever, and eventually I'll experience it for how it experiences, how I will experience it, and that will inform my reality, not what the government is telling me is, if there's a virus going around, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's I don't need the narrative of the external world anymore. I have the narrative that comes from my direct personal experience, and I now know through the experiences with nature spirits that it's been proven to me that my reality is fluid and dynamic, and I can literally tap into things that I has always been told that they don't exist. Well, they do. These things are there, and they literally want us to interact with them. But that's what they're there for. And we're beginning to remember and realize that that is our inheritance and our right as beings to work in co-creative synthesis with nature and with every other
So
being around
true.
us. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been getting a lot recently, and it is about co-creation, co-creativity, and collaboration, and that's why I was really excited to at least try this out and see how it goes. And
Yeah.
you know,
Well, everything you said resonates so true for me. I 100% agree. I feel, just as you said, that right now we're gaining so much creative inspiration from, for me, of course, definitely the nature spirits, because I'm so connected to them. But anytime you can go outside and just, walk and be in nature, even if you're in a city, just being with the sky, looking up at the sky and letting the sun touch your face. You're not only getting sun codes and messages literally coming down from what we call the fire fairies, the salamanders. You are getting inspiration, and it can be a fleeting glimpse in your mind, just like a flash, an image. It can be something that you're hearing. It can be an inner dialogue. It can be all these different things, but they are the nature spirits, the angels, the dragons, all these things, as you said, the unicorns, of course, all these things, like you said, that people have believed, oh, they're all fairy tales. Well, fairy tales are based on truths, and quite often there's more truth to them than fiction. And people are being woken up, but what keeps coming through is they're being tested. The limits of their belief are being tested right
right?
now.
Yeah,
And so, especially during the new moon, when that beam of moonlight is coming down and illuminating fears, which it's doing, along with inspiration, that fear of what we call a fairy or a nature spirit comes back into certain people's consciousness. And they say, well, no, I mean, I have read in all these books, they are evil, they are demonic. And, it's been my work, and I know yours too, to help people understand that these are, literally what I call earth angels sent by the divine to
right.
be a guardian, just like we have a guardian angel to, an animal, a plant, a flower, a rock, a tree.
Yeah,
And they're not here to interfere with us other than to work with us to create a peace and stability and beauty in nature again, to restore Gaia. And again, to inspire that creative genius, that spark within each person.
yeah.
Fairies love to play. They're laughing at me when I say this, because they also have their very serious side, which I know you're aware of, Lee. But they love to play and inspire the playful creator within a person. And, if we can say anything today about working with the nature spirits, it's that they just want to be here and get our attention. And they're trying.
Yes, yeah.
They're saying, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent right now, but they're saying if
Free
you're
flow.
walking outside and you see a tree, literally start going like this in a branch. And you could say, oh, that's the wind swaying the branch. I'm here to tell you, no, this is literally the tree spirit and the tree fairies calling out to you. I've just like being in your magical land.
Yeah.
In the UK, I went there so many times to research my books, and
It's
Glastonbury.
in the wind, isn't it? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
The elements are part
Oh,
of it.
it is. It's incredible. But, all right. So heading to Glastonbury, going on a magical walk there, and you literally do have trees that literally go like this. Hello. I mean, it's all there for you, for all of us. And we just really have to be open to saying, I'm not dreaming that. That really just happened.
Yes.
So, what would this tree, this spirit be trying to say to me? And that's when we need to literally take the time to just lean back up against that tree and see what kind of information comes to you, because
Yeah.
they're ready and willing. They're great healers. They're amazing.
Yes. I've spent a lot of time in my mother's garden, doing meditating and in the sun, and
Yeah.
getting a bit of a tan. But
Yay.
I have to say, that, being able to do it in a location that feels private and personal, but also very natural too, and being out here on an island where it's very, quite very, very country. Um, it's been a really, really healing experience. I feel like I've really healed a lot since being out of the city, and really noticing the difference between the city and nature here.
Yeah.
And realize, since being here, like really connecting, starting to get downloads from the all around me, and they were kind of saying stuff like, the deeper you're in nature, the more the memory is, because there's more of it, so the density of the memory is there, the older the memory is. But in the cities, where the land is more and more cut off into smaller and smaller chunks away from the rest of it, it's almost as if the memory becomes fragmented and limited by whatever is in that park or that piece of land. So it does feel like, here I've been able to connect a lot deeper. That's been a wonderful experience, actually, and that's all since this all this lockdown business, which is,
Yeah.
has been very stressful. It's thrown, from what I gather, it's put a lot of people in very difficult situations.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, but at the same time, the whole humanity has literally been forced into a place of deep reflection, and into the closest in alignment with itself it probably has ever had the opportunity to be. And it's just a question of how we want to spend this time, whilst we're all in this alignment, because this is probably, even though crazy things are going on, there is also simultaneously an element of calm and peace that I can feel, that I have not known for a very long time. And I feel that that's also with us too, despite the chaos that the institutions and governments and all the crazy stuff going on are trying to spin around us. That's what we have to ignore, because what we need to do is focus on the reality we want to live in, and make as much as we can of the beauty that we have access to. Even if it's small, it's just about doing it in the first place, even if it's just a little bit, a token amount each day, that kind of thing. Building up to it, that's what I had to do. So,
Yes, I agree. It's really tricky. I know, for instance, I was sent to work the way that you were in London. Are you hearing the feedback as much as I am? Yeah.
yeah,
And I really did not want to. I mean, it was being forced, but I did see the work that I was supposed to be doing, and it's, very much helping people in that area understand that the parks that are there are so needing
yeah,
people to come to them, so that they can breathe again that fresh air, so that they can connect to, nature itself, which is the divine healer, and see Gaia, as opposed to being out where all those skyscrapers are. The sky is in some areas almost blocked because of smog. And I know that's why I was being sent there to, be that divine bridge so that
Yeah.
more people would be that connection. And I'm sure while you were there, that was the same thing that you were actually doing. And I'm not
Felt like
meaning
yes, felt like a bit of
that
a
you're
quest to
necessarily
really.
aware of it, but
Yeah.
you're doing it, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So it's interesting, but I love that you're on an island right now. I think that is just so magical and so precise and precious for your evolution during this.
Yeah.
And I'm very close to a park, so that's very nice. I have a place where I can seek my refuge and do my work.
Right.
But the important thing the nature spirits are stressing right now, even if you are confined in a building, they're showing high rises. And all you can do is literally look out a window. The important thing to realize right now is that you still have the ability to look out that window, to see the sky, to see the sun. You may be blessed to see a bird, different creatures that might come across that window. And in those moments, we are to be connecting to the divine, to the Earth Mother Gaia, and indeed her earth angels, the spirits that are coming through the air,
Yeah.
through the sun. And as you and I have mentioned in some of our past talks, the actual animals that approach you themselves sometimes are the animal, sometimes are an animal spirit, and sometimes they are a fae,
Hmm.
a fairy literally shape shifting into an animal form. They're wanting me to give an example right now. So, for instance, if you were at your window, they're showing me my power animal, one of my power animals, a barred owl. A very unusual owl comes to your window and lights there. And you're looking at the owl, and the owl is looking at you. This would be a sign,
Yeah.
a very pronounced one, that you are to connect with that animal. It's a spirit. It can be the spirit of the animal, which is this particular bird, all about communication. But the message that they want to get across is no matter where you're at, even in that high rise, please take the time to connect with nature itself. And if you're having a hard time, wrapping your mind around nature, spirits, fairies, then just connect with the earth and the sky and the sun and the rain when it comes down, and feel the healing that comes through connecting with them, and feel the inspiration. This is what they keep saying over and over
Yes.
again. Let us inspire you.
Right.
And that can happen, if you're in lockdown, it can happen no matter where you're at. The fairies want to speak right now. And Gaia is speaking, you know, the divine is speaking through all these different aspects of the divine. So I think that's the message they really want to convey right now about lockdown. You can be in lockdown, but you can open up this bright new world that you might have never considered before.
Yeah.
And that's what this time apart can do for you in a very positive manner. And then they're saying, please allow the inner child, the inner artist to play.
Yeah.
Please. If you've never painted before and you want to paint, they're showing you painting. I'm talking about everyone. I'm not just talking about you because I know you
No,
create
definitely.
artwork.
Yeah.
If you want to sing and you're in your house in lockdown, sing to your heart's content. Please let go, dance. They're showing a beautiful dance, just what write, definitely all kinds of writing. If you've always wanted to write a book, what a perfect time to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do myself.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm getting
do it. And these are
lots of
just
different things.
positive. Yes, these are positives that when you feel that fear kick up as it's illuminated by the new moon, please see it, but then also see all the beauty that is there for you to lift with. There is layer upon layer of that right now. Okay, I'm stopping for a moment. Your turn. Oh my. That's what they wanted to say.
Right. No, no, I thought that was great. I was kind of getting all kinds of um, similar things over the last few days myself. Like they were saying something
Yeah.
about
Yes.
the inner child, the deep inner child work. It's like get back to looking at the world with that sense of wonder, not with the overly logical, pro scientific, way of looking at it. Yes, that stuff has a place and it's helpful, but in order to kind of establish a connection with the unseen, with the fluid dynamics of reality, we need to kind of get to that place of wonder and kind of like that kind of that sense of childlike neutrality to the world, where we don't have that fear, we don't have the programming, um, the things that we've all been taught to be scared of or afraid of, the images, the ghouls and ghosts and skeletons and the Halloweens and witches and all of the negative stuff like that has all been about programming us to be in fear of it, of all the things which are around us, which we can perceive if only we would let ourselves. And actually, there's nothing wrong in perceiving that. In fact, if anything, that is what's going to be happening with this. Seeing the world in new eyes means seeing aspects of our reality which were previously harder to see or almost impossible to see. Those things I think are going to begin to start merging and coming forward now, as particularly as more of us connect with nature and start making that real deep connection. Um, it's going to make it much more prominent, the understanding and the interactions and ways of interacting that we're developing on an individual and collective level is actually what is co-creating the new reality. So the more we're out in it playing from the space of childlike wonder, the more we're adding to the potential possibilities of where we can go collectively as well and individually.
Yes. And it's like you said, it's really healing the old paradigms and the old programming that, keeps so many of us stuck. You know, it it's opening up the new possibility to see new ways of living and just celebrating with a sense of joy. They're saying, and it ties back into what you were just talking about, unplugging as much as you can. And I think most people are aware that you really need to unplug,
Yeah.
and I know you're doing a video, which is going to be, watched, but
Right. Yeah.
watching over and over again
Well, I mean,
images
I was
of
used to sitting.
coronavirus and
Oh, sorry.
such,
Well, I've been used.
sorry.
Oh no, honey, it's okay. I've been used to sitting in front of a computer for months and months on end, watching the sky, and over the last few years, and then gradually, particularly since this lockdown stuff, I've been spending very little time in front of the computer and been going out as much as possible. So, I totally get you
Yes.
there. The vibe, the need, to be away from computers and really noticing the difference with the EMF fields and how it feels to be closer to electronic equipment when you're away from it, and the difference it makes with the connection and connecting to that inner voice. You kind of realize, so is that what that electrical stuff's all about? Is it really to kind of interfere with our connection? Maybe, I don't know, a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and but that's my kind of take on things a little bit. I'm very questioning of everything, but I'm also learning, been learning that process of actually, well, I don't need to focus on that stuff either, because actually all it is trying to control my sense of reality. And
Right.
what matters is how I'm perceiving reality on my own personal basis, just as for you is yours, and everyone. And that's the true diversity and freedom that we all really, really need. So that freedom to be able to question our reality or see reality with a completely different way of looking at it, and it be okay to do that without judgment, without ridicule or anything. And I think that's one of the things that scared me quite a lot, is this kind of feeling of ridicule that I would get through connecting to this kind of stuff. Because first of all, I'm a man, but I'm also a gay man, and so there's that kind of element too. But on top of that, then this is going into the realm of the paranormal, what a lot of people in the truth communities would have difficulty stomaching, even them. Although some of them will be aware of the idea of all of that. And so, it's all of that stuff, but it's about getting it into balance. It was great to look at it from that skeptical kind of point of view, but then I wanted to know, but what does it really mean? What's the real meaning? What it really means is our world is not what they tell us it is, and in fact it has the potential to be this beautiful, wonderful place if we choose to access it that way. And it's just about deprogramming and doing all that stuff. And so
And making the choice, as you just said,
yeah,
it's personal choice.
yeah.
What you're seeing right now, what you're focusing on, is so key to where you're at in this point of ascension. If you're on the ascension path, which, going into this, I don't know, have you covered ascension on your channel, or?
Well, it's something I've talked about on and off. I have a very liberal way of looking at a lot of different stuff, and I'm also mindful of tags and labels and all the things that get
Yes, that's a good
associated with
point.
it. And so I'm very like, okay, well, all I know is that something amazing, beautiful, powerful is happening to us collectively and individually. Something is escalating. There is something beautiful and wonderful, and has many different names and energies and whatever associated with it. But all I know is that something is happening. So going by my way of looking at it from personal experience, and then I've got friends that I can ask online who are also going through a similar process. So it's like, and I look at them and they look at me, and we're mirroring each other, and we're realizing we're all mirrors to each other, and going through this great cosmic mirroring process where we're getting to see what we need to fix in ourselves through our interactions with the external world, which is only reflecting what is going on inside anyway. So it's, and it's insane. It's an insane process, but I think this is something that a lot of us have already gone through or are going through, and what a lot more people will be having to get to eventually as well. So it's a very confusing ride, but I think the main thing is to get. I try now just to focus on the main important points. Is the world is not what they told me it was, but it is a very magical and powerful and fluid, dynamic place, and there is the potential there to work with it in co-creative symbiosis, or I could go against that and be great damage and pain to the world. But I've already had my fill of pain and damage and God knows what, So I think most human beings will be at that point where we've got to change, and that's it. I think so. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just rambling on a bit now, but
No, I love where you're going with this.
yeah,
It's so true. And I think all of us have been at that point where, we've tried and tried and tried, a very old fashioned way of pushing to achieve goals. And we're finding that doesn't work anymore. In fact, kind of brings you farther away from what you want to do, because the energies have shifted so much at this point that it literally is, instead of pushing, letting go completely.
yeah,
That brings you closer to it. It's the trust, they're saying. So it's a matter of simply trusting that the divine has everything lined up for you the way it's supposed to happen. and then going with that flow wherever that flow takes you. And that's when the ego comes in.
Yes.
And the ego tries to take control and say, but wait a minute, that makes no sense. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't, you simply cannot do that, you know. And that's when you have to kind of just relax and realize that that once again is old programming.
Mm-hmm.
And is being brought up to recognize love and then release it.
Yes.
Let it go.
I've also, I mean,
Yeah.
and I'd say on top of that, that's something that's been coming through. Um, Something about I've been doing the Ho'oponopono thing, you know, where you go, I'm
Yes.
sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Getting into that and noticing it's all that is really good technique to use. And I've been doing a lot of heart healing as well recently. So it seems to be the thing that they're focusing on for me whenever I go and do my little healing meditations in the garden. They're saying, right, we're doing a major heart healing process at the moment, on me. So I don't know how. I think it might be on a lot of other people actually, but that's what they've been telling me. And part of that has been about learning to forgive myself. Actually, you're not forgiving people for their sake. You're doing it for you, and because the more you hold on to it, the more it's another thing to become ill. It's another thing to make you ill and more unwell. Um, and so yeah, it's actually my benefit to try and forgive and forget and let go of things which have been eating away at me for years and years and years. And you know, so
Yeah.
right, so all the traumas are coming up, old traumas which affected me in my adult life and in my child life. I'm even staying at my parents at the moment, so I'm at the epicenter of all my childhood um, traumas and experiences. So a lot of stuff's coming through. It's no coincidence that I'm here during this time. You know, it's like this is the perfect place to do a lot of learning and about nature and getting more connected with it, but at the same time do a lot of self healing too. So I'm noticing that things coming up and then realizing, right, so I've got to thank. The way to move forward is to thank the lesson. Do your apologies or your thanks, and then eventually you'll be able. That's part of the letting go. Apologize and say thank you, and then I love you and whatever. And and I've noticed it's really working, and I'm noticing a lot of energy shifts and things pushing through as a result of that, and new experiences coming through. So it feels like you stumble upon a little bit of. I feel like I've stumbled on a little bit of a kind of a pattern or something I can use to help. Um, you
Yes.
know,
And that is such a beautiful practice. And I've always found going outside and doing it like while you're walking, and you have all nature supporting you as you're doing, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you.
yeah,
And it's just, as you said, a beautiful release in the heart too. It's a gorgeous practice. It
yeah.
really is.
I definitely,
Forgiveness is so key.
yeah.
It is to move forward. Yeah. Oh my. So, what else is coming through right now? Let's see. I guess the whole idea, the nature spirits are talking about preconceived notions about how they would look up here,
Yes,
how they would sound. They're saying to let all of that go because, if you're new to this whole idea and you've simply been like looking at books, or you have this image of Tinkerbell from Peter Pan or something along those lines, they're a good place to start because all of these different people that have brought forth that idea, that image before, have been connected to the Fae. But reality is they are energy because they're of such a high vibration.
yeah,
They're energy spirits. But when they take physical form, and this is where you were talking about, beings looking so different, they might look a little bit spooky.
yes,
To me, it's not spooky when they appear. he said, to give an example, I, as you know, just did a crystal fairies video. And when they were coming and working with me at night, they literally were the crystal, and yet you could see the fae at the same time. And they were fluid and liquid, and they literally were able to take a part of their crystal and put it right here for me, which was amazing. And it would be the same thing. They're showing, for instance, if you were to be looking at a tree and then suddenly see a twig, a branch approaching towards you almost, that whole idea, this would be the nature spirit. They want me to clarify that the spirit of the tree, when I've seen spirits of the tree manifest before, it's been very much an energy light being. So almost like an image of light within the tree,
Right.
if that makes sense. What is the word? Iridescent is the word I wanted. But what they're trying to say is the visual and the audio may be different than what you might imagine, especially now they're going into the audio. Some people can hear fairies speaking very distinctly, and others might get the very high-pitched ring in their ears with that.
Right.
So you're walking into an area and suddenly they're showing the hair on the back of your neck standing up, and you start to hear a high-pitched sound.
Yeah.
They're showing them sending you a wave of fragrance. That's not just flower fairies, but all fairies. And it's like, wow, what is here with me?
Yes.
You know, this is all means of reaching out to you. Also, the traditional leaving you a gift of a stone, a feather, you know, depending on which kingdom of fairy you're working with. If you're finding single feathers out that literally when you look at them, they look like they, you know, are highlighted in some way, that is a gift from a sylph, an air fairy.
Right.
And they're wanting you to pick it up and literally take it with you so that you can work with that fairy. The same thing with the stone.
Right.
They're laughing at me because they know stones literally go out of their way to work with me. It's so fun. I can be walking out in the park, and in this particular park, there is a gorge. So you've got cliffs way up here, and I'll put out an intention. I am going to make an earth magic meditation video. I'll put that out. Does anyone want to work with me? Here comes a rock from all the way on the top of the cliff. Boom, 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 right down in front of me. It is amazing. And they're saying that can be for anyone. Now, you might be saying, what do I do with that rock? Okay, so you take it. And right now I have a rock in my hand. And you literally just take the time to meditate with the rock. First, allow the energy of the rock to permeate you and your energy to permeate the rock. And then try and put a question with your mind. They're saying use telepathy. You know, saying, hello, I'd like to work with you. Is there anything I can do for you? And then wait to see if you can get a response. And this is the way they're saying to initiate communication.
Right.
You can do the same with the feather, leaning against a tree, fire. Fire phase are coming through.
Yeah.
Once again, you can do that by sun gazing. People are always like, how do you do that? It's not really looking into the sun, but at the corners, the edges around. And communicating in that means letting those sun rays, beams, permeate you. And they're showing the fae coming down through those beams. Okay, or simply staring into the candle flame.
Right.
Okay, yeah. They're saying, please do not give up.
No, I've got a piece of
Because
wood.
it might be, yes,
I have a
love
piece of
it.
wood which I've been working with now.
Oh, I
I was
love it.
guided
It's
to
so
get it.
perfect.
They guided me to pick
Yeah.
it up from a mulberry tree in the park. I've kept it ever since. Brought it with me. But experimenting with it, I even meditate with it, and I realize that if I move it around in different parts of my body, it will have a reaction. I can feel the energy coming from it, like my stomach, particularly if the lower abdomen with the
Yeah.
spleen, liver, stomach region. I actually feel movements and put it over my chakra areas, and you definitely notice it. And so, yeah, very very interesting working
It
with that.
is. And that particular tree, the mulberry tree, has tremendous healing properties. And it is a link between heaven and earth, which is what you're experiencing when you're putting it there,
Right,
literally on your chakras, because that energy is then coming through it and from the divine into the fae slash wood of the tree spirit, and then going into that area, balancing that chakra, just like a crystal would.
right,
So
yeah,
that is sheer magic. I'm just going to ask them a question right now about you.
okay.
I'm asking if you have a fairy heritage. Are you aware of one right now from the past?
I know that in the past I've probably been many different beings or things.
Yeah,
So yes, I think I've probably got something
I do
going
too.
on.
And just from what you're saying right now, is it's such a strong dryad connection, which is my past as well. So dryad. And also, not only that, but it's like they're saying keeper. So is it that he was like a keeper of that knowledge? That's a big yes. So we're going to have to like go into that a little bit furtherly, because I don't want to
Yeah, that's fine.
take all the time, but it's almost as if I see you with a staff
Right?
past. Are you seeing it?
Yep.
Okay. And it's, you were an advocate for them. I'm seeing it's almost Merlin-esque.
I've had a few different things actually. I've even been accused of being Merlin at one point in the past. So,
Yes, you're very in the image Merlin-esque.
so
You are. I believe it.
weird random stuff in the past. Yeah, I don't
And
really know, but I know that I've got links and connections in the past somehow. Know that much.
well, that's magical. But you are, not only do you have the fairy heritage, but you have in the past been the advocate. So this is re-establishing that same connection
Right.
into this time period that you've had before. Wow. That's wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Definitely.
Fabulous.
Right. That's definitely fitting in with my chart and stuff, and like a lot of Uranian, Plutonian energy coming in for me at the moment, and there's a lot of changing and transformation, and it does kind of has felt like the last almost 40 years has been one way of being, and then suddenly it's like, bam, everything's dissolving, falling
Mm-hmm.
apart, and building back up into something that's going to be so completely different to what it was that I'm not even going to be, a bit like, I don't know, somebody just flipped a switch, and but it's going to look like that, from an angle, but obviously it's taking time, and we're experiencing it here in on human scale, and that could be that's a process, It's trying to maintain that level of higher perspective can be quite difficult when you're caught down here and amidst it all. But there is so much help out there now, from lots of different places, and I know that there's a lot of guides and energies around me, ancestors, and other beings and things that coming around me, and not just me. Everybody's got them. We can call upon for helping. So yeah,
It's so important. We have, as you just said, so many guides from so many different dimensions. Right now we can talk about fairy guides, angelic guides, intergalactic guides.
yeah,
We can just go so many different ways right now. Star family, you can. Ancestors are so important. They're coming through. Animal guides are coming through. I mean, there just are so many dragons are coming through, and
yeah.
unicorns are coming through. So,
I get images of all of them around in a circle holding hands, type of
yes,
thing. It's
yes,
literally that
beautiful.
corny, but this kind of thing is like, and they're all aware of each other, and they're all, kind of working together in teams, because this is a co-created thing, and it's like, if they do it, then you can do it, and yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
lovely. And like you said, it's just so important that everybody realizes that that is there for you. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're having a problem connecting, just take your time and breathe deeply
Yeah,
and ask to be shown a sign that you will understand, and it will come,
yeah,
especially now,
and
because the
it's not
energies
about,
are
right.
so
And it's not
open.
about trying to control your sense of reality, or take away your sense of agency or own personal sense of sovereignty. It's about assisting you to reclaim it more than anything. That's what it's about. And I think the what I want like to encourage is the use of imagination, and how important it is. How our imaginations can really manifest and generate a lot of different things, and so be careful about it, obviously, but don't be afraid to. And I think a lot of people are too afraid to keep things. They want to keep things in a box and conform to certain expectations that we've all been programmed to expect, and conform to. But actually, there is so much out there. And all you have to do is go out and experience for yourself on your own terms, without other people telling you what to do. And
Yes.
and there's so much energy and so many wonderful, amazing things that can happen as a result of that. And getting to know, um, your guides is part of that process. Actually, that they're there, and you can seek guidance from the world around you, particularly from nature. Nature just wants to help, and if we work fluidly and in co-creative symbiosis with it, instead of parasitic take, um, then then all the better. That's a process we all need to start moving on from, and evolving from. So
Step by step.
yeah,
I think for most of us, the important thing to realize is it's not something that happens overnight. This evolution, that's why this time apart where we're in seclusion is so important. So we can take those steps and really start looking within and working within and
yeah,
healing and dreaming and manifesting and all those good things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's got so much time to start practicing. So
Yes.
yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you, Carol. We're coming up
You
to
too.
an hour now, and I think that would be
Plenty.
plenty. I think that would be a good point. So it's been really wonderful chatting, and I will upload this as soon as possible and let you know. Great.
Thank you. And then if you can figure out a way that then I can share it then on my channel too,
Yeah,
I would love that.
I'll
And
do that.
yeah, it's just been a pleasure. Like I said, I feel you are a true kindred spirit.
Me too. Yeah.
And so thank you. A pleasure connecting with
Thank
you.
you, Carol. It's been wonderful, and see how it all goes. And if we feel the calling to do it again, if you want to
Yes,
do that, then I think that'd be cool. Let's see how it all.
that would be wonderful. And if we can figure out how to do it when we're actually out in nature, do the the video itself, that would
Yes.
be really wonderful, because then we can actually show the interaction occurring.
Right.
And so something to think about.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Carol. And we'll end
Thank
it
you.
there.